And don't forget, we're streaming live on our YouTube as well. So you can catch the live stream and even post a comment on there. It's Smooth 981.
With that said, the tone of the conversation for business would be a fallout of the statement coming from Aso Rock, 50% reduction in transportation costs across some selected routes in the country. So, Rotus, what do you make of the Yuletide transport intervention from the presidency?
There's a guy on Twitter. I really wish I had found his tweets, but I get tagged so many times I can't find it. This guy must have tweeted me about 30 times. And what he did was he just copied and pasted the same tweets and tagged other people. What is the presidency going to do about Christmas? What is the presidency going to do about Christmas? Prices are rising. People need to go to their homes. They need to see their families. What is the presidency doing about Christmas? And he just repeated it over and over. And I'm wondering what he thinks about this. So it's something, right? We know that people travel a lot during this period to go and see their families. Although looking around at Lagos, if you see the traffic last night, perhaps people have given up on going home because it seems everyone is still here. But Omas, it's better than nothing. I'll just leave it there. I think that's it's something. It's something.
All right, I would pick up from where you left off. You've been tagged over 30 times. What would the presidency do about Christmas? So that gives me a feeling, if the way it's going, is this a tendency or an omen that Rotus is on his way to becoming a media advisor, something that the presidency you never can tell, but let's just leave it there for now. But let's get on to...
No, private sector, please. Private sector is no, definitely private sector. That you are more flexible. You have, no, for sure. Private sector for sure.
All right, so talk to us about the characteristics of the palliatives right now.
Well, look, I've always said that palliatives cannot last forever. And if you look at the characteristics of this particular intervention or palliative, however you want to call it, it's very specific. So I think it starts today and
Yes.
it ends on the 4th of January. So a palliative is for a specific amount of time. If not, if you leave it to just run forever, then you run out of money. It's like if you want to think about the fuel subsidies or electricity subsidies that we've had for years, even when oil prices crashed, we were still maintaining them, leading us to go and borrow. So they impacted our fiscal structure. So palliatives are supposed to be short term. They're supposed to target a specific set of people, and they're supposed to have specific outline parameters. So December 20, it's today the 21st, 21st to the 4th of January, 50% targeting buses and free train rides. Although that free train rides, we can dig a little more into that because how many trains do you have? But that's cool. And yeah, that's it. So it's specific short-term targets Christmas period. Boom. You get some relief. That's where we are.
So we don't end up having conductors, drivers, and passengers taking on themselves fisticuff and saying, "But the president, it's an announcement from the presidency." Can we specify what manner or class of buses we're talking about affected, so we don't have these cases all over Lagos today?
Well, the the NUTR people are going to spring to action. There are associations that are linked to the states. So that is how they are going to run this particular exercise. So it's not going to be it's going to be specific. So they're looking at buses for people who want to travel from, one state to the next, the interstate travel, those transportation services that offer that will also be under this. So I don't expect everybody to, jump onto a downfall bus and start saying, "Give me 50% off." It's going to be very, very specific. And I think they're really looking at people traveling to other states to go and be with their families. Now, there is something to be said for uh, the insecurity on the roads, but again, yeah, it's going to be specific, so that it doesn't cause widespread chaos.
So that leads me to people. They say palliative, it seems these days, like Zibby told me some time ago that just this week, that the middle class, it seems like they've been wiped out. And for that reason, it's looking like everyone needs palliative right now. And why is this not applicable to the air transportation?
Yeah, well, first off, Zibi is part of the top 1%, so she's excluded.
Amen to that.
So, yeah, if you look at what air transport prices are right now, they're insanely expensive. And why is that? Because of where Jet A1 fuel is, which is a byproduct of diesel. It runs into the hundreds of thousands. So if I wanted to go to Abuja for Xmas now, the government would not have to pay for 50% of what would be 180,000, maybe even a 200,000 naira ticket. That would just be way too expensive. And so that's the reason why they are targeting to what the government feels is the most vulnerable of the population. The well-to-do, those who are, able to afford air transport, they are not considered part of this, because it would just be too. Then it would be everybody. If that's the case, then you're saying that everyone who can fly, anyone who can use, then you can if you have the money to pay to subsidize people's air transports, then subsidize their boat transport and motorcycle transport and everything else. The horses, so that's the thing.
Now, speaking about numbers, Nigeria has a large population, and in so many ways, it's seen as an advantage for businesses. Now, when it comes to targeted assistance from the government, does it become perhaps the opposite?
Yeah, because the same population that's FMCGs and all these other foreign investors, when they want to come in and set up stuff here, it's something they tout a lot. Now, of course, Zibi, you got to dig down a little further and now ask yourself, what is the purchasing power of this large population? How many of them can really afford the products and services that these businesses who are coming into Nigeria can offer? So that's the one thing. But yeah, when it now turns it links back to Omase's question on airfare, in that they are only targeting buses, right? They're being as specific as possible, because population is so large. That's why in the past, some palliatives are not even able to go around completely. So, you've got to handle those two flip sides, which is why it is vital that economic growth, inclusive economic growth, is what you target, so that you are spreading wealth around, and then that means you don't have to intervene as much when things get down.
All right, let's go on to WhatsApp. We have some messages coming through. Benga says, my angst is, how will the transport discounts that the president announced be implemented? The transporters can hike the fees and then halve it, making the charges come to the amounts charged before. And knowing how some Nigerians exploit others, that's a possibility. But yeah, this one says the middle class is alive and breathing. Those rates need palliatives.
That first comments from I think Benga Kamu, right?
Yes.
That is exactly what Black Friday was. They basically just doubled the prices and then cut them in half, and nothing changed. No, they're going to be look, people who use transportation on a regular basis know how much they are. Again, they are going through these associations and these bodies that are part of the states. And so there will be a noticeable difference. But again, it's not going to be for everyone. So you don't announce something like this without making sure that you are able to implement it, because you're trying to help people. So I'm pretty confident that the government will use its links that it has, through these transportation bodies, to make sure that those prices are cut in half.
But Rotus, that raises a fundamental question of, these buses won't run on water or urine from the driver and the conductor, because the price of fuel is still where it is. It didn't go down. So who bears the cost?
Right. Government is going to bear the costs. If you are going to intervene and offer discounts to people, the assumption is that you're the one that's paying. So it's the same government that removed fuel subsidies, which I support because of where the fiscal structure is for the country. And so the government knows that they will have to bear the cost when it comes to footing the bill for cutting these transportation costs in half for these buses. So it's going to fall on government.
All right. Benga sent another message. The guys hitting the gym to lose weight don't need palliatives. I used to think that certain stores will thrive in any part of Lagos, but now I have a rethink because of the purchasing power and consistency in many areas. Speaking of large populations, countries like China also have a really large population, but somehow they've been able to address poverty, at least significantly. Are there any lessons that Nigeria could learn?
Yeah, look, China is a manufacturing giant. They make everything, right? They, some of either the chairs you both are sitting on or the equipment in the studio, possibly the phones that some of us are using to send messages. They exploded with manufacturing, and it was able to create so many jobs, and they export so many things. So China had inclusive economic growth. It was basically the a rising tide lifts all boats is how China was able to, and this is a country with over 1 billion people, and we here we have 200 million and we're struggling. So the lesson from China is you've got to boost your manufacturing sector, put people to work. I'm not on video now because there's no power in my place, right? There's no electricity. So how do you want people to function if you don't have power? China doesn't have power outages. They've got lights everywhere. So give people lights. That gives people a means to be productive. It gives them a chance to make things, boost your manufacturing sector, and you will address poverty in Nigeria significantly. So those are where the lessons are.
Right. Thanks for that clarification. Electricity subsidies still in place. Power Minister says the president does not want it to end at this time because it could cause more hardship. Yet the sector needs a lot of investments. We've got about a minute or so to go. What is the way forward with this?
I'll do it in 10 seconds. Remove the subsidies. I'm sorry. It's going to be tough. Remove it. Remove it, or at least partially. Remove it partially.
Wow. All right, let's go on to WhatsApp. This one is from Taufik, and he says, I hope the drivers won't take advantage of this intervention. Even before the intervention, I traveled to Ibadan last Saturday for less than 2 hours at 3,900. On my way back, it was 5,000 for the same travel time. Drivers give various reasons to hike the price, making the intervention counterproductive.
Great point. Great point. Yes, you should also look at demand. Maybe it depends on the number of people that were moving that route, the time of day. But that's a great point. Demand is part of this thing. The same thing with airfare. People say I flew this route one day, it was this price. I came back, it was doubled. Demand has a lot to do with it. But yeah, he's right. They are using fuel prices as a reason to say, these things are going up. It's not easy. Tough times.
Okay, we spoke about subsidies really quickly, and we can't leave that conversation without talking about inflation. 18-year high, 28.2% year on year. Food inflation, 32.84. How can we tame this wild raging beast?
It's tough for Zibby. You've got to improve food supplies. Nigeria's food supplies are hampered. Insecurity where the farmers are, flooding, again, power, electricity, being able to store these foods that you're growing, the routes to markets, the bad roads. You fix all that, you improve food supplies, you can bring prices down.
And so, Rotus, the trade for Business Express is clear this morning. And what else can we say? May the kobo become those kind of currencies that fold and have lots of value for us in the days coming ahead.
Amen to that, sir. Thank you, Omas. Thank you, Zibby. Thanks to everybody that sent messages. Catch you guys tomorrow.
All right, it's Wrote and Quote on